My high heel collection really doesn't work here. It's upsetting for everybody, including me.
We're going to make a
Yeah.
lot of movies here from now on.
Renee and I just sat out on the dock. The blues and the grays, the drizzle. You're sitting there, the drizzle's coming on your face, and you're thinking, I have no impulse towards getting out of the rain. Not in the least. I want to be here for that. And then, you know, 20 seconds later it's gone and something else is going on, and then the sun comes out, and then it's misty and foggy, and it's all happening in the course of about an hour. So that's the place of connection. I've been coming up here to the Boundary Waters since I was about 20. I was so green, you know. I was an acting teacher at Northwestern who, you know, told us about his place in Grand Marais and going up to Gunflint, and it just sounded so exotic and so fantastic. And here I was, this kid from the city of Chicago, and we just sort of set up the tent, and suddenly it was dark, and we hadn't washed a dish or we hadn't hung our food, and they were like, "You've got to hang your food because there's absolutely been bears." We were green. But, you know, we were there for 5 days out there, so we cavalierly, when we're starting the fire, just, oh, that didn't catch. And then at some point we were like, I don't think we have more than one box of matches. And suddenly we had 9 matches left, and we still had to make, you know, 7 fires. So we were kind of in trouble, but somehow we made it.
Raspberries. Raspberries. Every single time I have a raspberry, all I can think about is when I went to camp and we had the raspberry bushes like they do here. And I'd be on the way to riflery or archery or arts and crafts, or tennis actually. And I would stop by the raspberry bush and just pick raspberries on the way. Blah, 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 raspberries just going. And it was just so great. And so every single time I've had a raspberry my whole life, I flash back to camp. And so I was just thrilled but not surprised when I found out that there was raspberries all over here, wild raspberries.
My daughter Sunday and I saw a little frog like tucked into the woods, camouflaged into the path as we were walking back from breakfast this morning, and that was kind of cool because you don't like see a little toad every day in Brooklyn, you know, when you're running off to, you know, in the city. So my favorite thing is waking up, you know, getting out of the priest house, having a cup of coffee and sitting on my stoop and looking at the lake. I'm in heaven.
You know, I've yet to run across people who aren't, you know, sort of warm and welcoming and very sweet. And I know that that's sort of a cliche at this point, to think, oh, people in the, you know, Minnesota, they're so sweet, they're so charming. But I've really found that to be the case. I've been fishing with Kate and Alan's father, and we've been going out and we've been hunting for northerns. And I've had some luck, believe it or not. And then we were filming yesterday, and just setting up the shot. And the director said, "Well, I mean, you might as well just cast off the dock, see if you can get anything." And just sort of an aside. And on my second cast, reeling it in, just hooked something. And I didn't believe it. And Remy, the director, was just like, "You know, it's probably weeds, dude." And then all of a sudden, like a 22-inch, and I was screaming like I, you know, won the World Cup or something. It was maybe my crowning achievement. I'd like to think so, at least.
You know, I went into the dining hall, and even though, of course, the dining hall was different at my camp, it's that smell of the wood. I loved the dining hall when I walked in and saw the history of, I think it was the paddles, where it had all the counselors. That just made me remember my camp experience.
And I was telling people that, you know, coming to Camp Vermilion, it was just like I feel nostalgic for a childhood I never had. You know, it was just like, man, I wanted this. This is what I thought it was going to be like. But that I'm getting it now is nice.
I thought I was pretty relaxed, but there was a huge learning curve in terms of how much I actually wasn't. It feels like for a lot of people, this is a place where you go to find some kind of peace.
A lot of times we would have, you know, nighttime tick check. And then you would just say, tick check, and all your, fellow campers in the cabin, we would do the tick check. And, for a while, everything was fine. It was all fine. And one day I was scratching my head, and there was some kind of bump on my head. I thought, well, what the heck is this? And someone said, oh, you got a tick. So I went to the nurses, and I went to the nurse's cabin, and I remember her looking at me, just a woman of the woods, probably a lot like Dot. She said, oh, no, that's a big grandpa tick, and he's just filled with all your blood. And I don't know, I was 10, 11 years old, and she took tweezers and went halfway through my head getting the tick out. She said, oh, there it is. There we go. Yeah.